So in the topic of cookies, Ben and I had been talking in rehearsal. We had a dress rehearsal earlier. It was like 3 hours long. You guys don't want to know about all that.
Yeah, we don't have an audience for that.
We were talking. One of the topics that came up were bad teachers or bosses, and then of course I want my Cookie Monster theme. So I decided to meet right in the middle, and I will tell the story of George's cookie bouquet. Here comes a George story. Sorry, chonkers. I used to work. I used to work at a very well-known long distance / telephone company. Hint, hint. I kind of still do, but it's a whole other thing. And I had a boss, and this boss was not very popular amongst the other managers. He was a manager, but his peers did not like him that much. And he will go nameless, he or she, he. And so he would ask me to do things to go get information from other managers, and the managers would joyfully say, tell your manager to go fuck himself. And if he wants something, he can come get it himself. No offense to you. And I would say like that was a one-off occurrence, but it's not. It happened many times. And so me and my manager, and I was a contractor, and in Texas, if you're a contractor, you are like toilet paper swirling around the bowl. Any day could be your last day. But for some reason, I was full of hubris and I didn't care. And me and my manager would get into yelling matches. We would yell at one another.
Oh, wow.
And so we would often play, there would often be office Gophers, which if you're not familiar, that's when heads pop out of cubicles and are like, what? And there's a good natured tinge to it. We weren't being malicious, but we just start yelling at each other like Italian bakers.
Yeah.
Hey, just
stupid.
being racist. Yeah. Italian bakers. Exactly. Yeah. Hey, dum-dum, what are you doing? I thought you were my manager. And he's like, hey, ding-a-ling. Yeah. Why aren't you doing what I told you? It's like, hey, numb nuts, because it ain't working. And it just does that, it wasn't like I hate your family or anything like that. Anyhow, where I sat at this building, I was on the 4th floor and I had a corner cube. So I had one cubicle wall here, and then one cubicle wall to my left. And then to my right was a 10-foot window that was literally like 14 feet long. And then behind me was another 10-foot window that was about 14 feet long. So I could be working and then just turn slightly to my right. And just Nortel, there's an old telecom company, was right across the street from where I worked. And they had fountains and cherubs throwing rose petals at people's feet. And it was really nice. It was super cool. And so it was really nice to look at. You saw people, and it was beautiful. So, that, and every once in a while, my manager would come by my cube and be like, why don't I have this cube? I'm the manager. I should have this cube. This
sounds like an awesome cube.
Yeah, this shouldn't be some lousy contractor cube. This should be a manager's cube. Well, his cube was twice the size of mine, but it had no windows. Yeah. It was in the middle of the building. It's like,
still a cube.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah. It's hard to get excited about a cubicle.
So one week, it was a particularly long week, and me and my boss had been having many of these roundabouts, and it was getting to be kind of tedious. And I'm like, whatever, And so that Thursday, there was a company, I don't know, I think it was called Cookie Bouquets or something like that. But long story longer, they make cookie bouquets, like floral arrangements, but made out of giant edible cookies. And they're awesome. And so I ordered them. It was like $75. And it was like, I think it was 11 cookies. And in big letters on the biggest cookie, it said, to George, world's greatest employee, love, and my boss's name at the end. And the great thing about this job, for whatever reason, I don't know why, security would like hold up deliveries. Like, so if women got flowers from their boyfriends or husbands or whatever, they would like walk the flowers out. So everybody in the Gopher heads would pop up like, ooh, Susie got some flowers, So here comes security, big as shit, this giant bouquet of cookies that says world's greatest employee on it. And as we've already discussed, I'm in a corner cube. So you have to walk by the entire fucking floor to get to my cube. And by the time they get to my cube, everybody's like standing up and virtually on the verge of applause. It's like, oh, brilliant. And I sit down and people just start streaming into my cube and just dying laughing. I mean, it was the best prank ever because there were no victims.
Right.
It's not like I billed him for the cookies.
Yeah.
I paid for them myself. I tipped the guy that delivered it. It was all me. There was nothing illegal about it or illicit.
Yeah,
it was
you
just
bought yourself
me.
some cookies.
It was just me being funny.
Right.
And so at this point, because I had some guys at this point where I was very good friends with, they immediately came and claimed a cookie. They was like,
yeah,
that's the great thing about food at work is that
people are going to come running.
There are no leftovers. It's just like zoom. So we're 6 cookies into I think it's 11 cookies on the bouquet or something like that. And of course, the big one is still there because I'm like, you can't have that one. You just can't.
It's got your name on it.
And here comes my boss, and he sits down and he looks over and he just starts laughing. And he's like, that was good. That was good. You got me on that one. But I'm like, yeah, I think it was just funny. And he goes, yeah, no, it was very funny. And then he looks out the window and he crosses his legs the way managers do in an authoritarian way. And, he's looking at my cube and kind of looking around. And then he looks me dead in the eye and he goes, so, can I have a cookie? And I'm like, oh, beep, bleep that out. And I'm like, well, dude, I said, you got it. You ordered it. You might as well take it. Go ahead, whatever cookie you want. And so we have to block out the name. But yes, so that person, he got his cookie and it was very, very funny. Mm-hmm. And it was, I think, the best joke I ever played at work ever. We can cut that part out or something. I don't know.